Welcome everyone. December 12th. It's a Saturday. Hope everybody's having a good start to their weekend already. And welcome to the Ring Ads December Dash daily live stream. That's right. Daily live streams every day this month from December 1st to the 31st. And we are not quite in the middle, but we're approaching the halfway point. I mean, by the time we start up next week, it's going to be really important to dig in because this is the last. If you think about it, this is the last full week of the year. The last full week of the year. So, um, just saying, we got to be ready for that, right? We got to be ready for that. All right. Today we're also talking about a special topic, and that's going to be weekend prep, right? We talked a little bit about that last weekend, but not as much because it was still very much not as much prep to do maybe. And as time goes on, you'll notice that there are things that there are things that are going to start filling your to-do list a little bit more, filling it out as you come up with more leads to follow up with, for example. So your follow-up is going to take up a little bit more time, and the things that you need to plan for in the coming weeks um, are going to take a little bit more time. And so, in order to do that, you've got to really get tight and manage efficiently, as efficiently as possible, your time invested into the business so that you can pull the most out of it with the least amount of effort, okay, and stress as well, okay. Um, and that's valuable. So I like to do a lot of things that I could do during the week, uh, during the weekend, right? And the reason for that is because a lot of business owners choose to not work on the weekend, or they choose to, even local business, or they choose to work different hours or later hours in a lot of cases in local business. And sometimes there's reasons for that depending on the industry, right? But the idea is actually, let me check my audio, make sure everything's good here. Yep, you guys can hear me. Okay. I'm not seeing anything in the comments. Maybe that's why I'm wondering what's going on. So let me just go into the group here, do a quick refresh. How's everybody doing? Did I say good morning? I think I did. I believe I did. Hope everybody's doing all right. But the idea is, yeah, there's the feed. Okay, perfect. Let me pull this up and I work different. I have to mute it again. One more second. In local business. There we go. Okay. Wow, you guys are all tuned in. Awesome. Everybody's saying hello. Cool. Okay, so um, there's a lot of things that you can do over the weekend that don't get me wrong. Saturday, I mean, like some people's schedule, your schedule may only allow for uh, one of your good calling days to be Saturday. And if your vertical happens to be working on Saturdays, then and that's one of the only days you have to make phone calls, then use it by all means. However, for those of you that are able to find a way to dedicate an hour to 2 hours a day, 5 days a week, and you want to, you either have to make some of that up, let's say, or you want to spend a little bit of extra time without spending your entire weekend on it, right? You can get a lot of things done, systems and processes wise, that maybe you might not have gotten done during the week because you were too busy in the doing mode, right? Like acquiring the client, prospecting for the client, setting up the client, getting the campaign running, optimizing, all that stuff. Those are all things that need systems and processes at a very basic level to get a good start before you start hiring somebody and training them, right? Because if you hire somebody and you don't have the training in place, well, that means something's going to suffer at some point, right? You're going to have to stop doing what you're doing in order to, or slow down the speed at least, the very least, to build the training out for the person you just hired. And they're going to be sitting there watching you do it the whole time, and you're paying for that. So it's like triple pay. You know, you could be working at your normal speed, so that's cut. So that's costing you there. You're paying someone else to sit there and watch you. That's costing you money. And then on top of that, the systems and processes you put time and effort into, um, it's all adds up. It all adds up. So anyway, things you can do to prep. So what I would do is, if you can't, I say can't, if you if you're not really a person who can learn the habit of doing while you're doing, meaning, um, let's say you're working on client acquisition, for example, because a lot of you are doing that or have done that and are going to continue to do that. Great. If you cannot bring yourself for some reason, you should be able to, but if you can't bring yourself for some reason to do the systems and processes right then and there as you're doing it, which is advised, then you're going to need to make some notes as best you can and then come back to it on the weekend. And it's going to take you more time to do it on the weekend because than it would if you had just done it while you were doing it during the week, because you have to revisit it. You have to come back to it. You have to make sure it's right. Um, it's not the preferred way, but it is a way that you can handle that. What I like to use the weekends for instead is fine tuning of that. So I review on over the weekend what I did during the week in terms of systems and processes and mapping everything out and saying, okay, that could be better. So I'll make note on that to get it done as I do it better on this section next week. Because the next week I've got 3 sessions where I'm doing prospecting, for example. And so I've got 3 shots at getting it really dialed in based on the notes that I took off of the review. Now, to review something that you've done through the week like that on systems and processes is not going to take you a day. It's not going to take you 20 hours or 12 hours or 6 hours. It's going to take you an hour, 2 hours at the most, right? So there's part of your time, right? For like if you took a half a day on Saturday, that's kind of a good measure for those of you that work full time. At least your whole Saturday's not gone. Most everybody else is sleeping in. That's one of the reasons why the weekends are good, right? It's not everybody's sleeping in, but a lot of people are, right? Especially during the holiday season, people tend to sleep in. I don't know. It's weird. Uh, okay, so there's also some things you need to consider on scheduling. A lot of you don't end up scheduling till late Sunday, and I would advise you to get a jump start on that. Because the earlier you do that and the earlier you set that, the more clear you are, and you're setting it from a place of strength, your schedule, as opposed to last minute, hurried up, hurried work, that kind of stuff. And I've even seen people be able to, while they're doing systems and processes review, set their schedule. And while they're doing all of that, a lot of the prospecting, like lead scraping and stuff, can actually be done for the next week's work, all in that half day. Like the scrapers running in the background for, the Google Maps contact extractors running in the background, pulling the data in. Um, Maybe a couple minutes here and there, pulling lists in from like Ring Ads Mirror, for example, things like that, where it's all in place, right? Templates are laid out, everything, schedules laid out, the systems and processes are reviewed, you're fine tuning that. And then on Sunday, you spend, I don't know, an hour reviewing the script, getting solid, listening to some call recordings, doing that, maybe an hour or 2 hours doing that, and that's it. That's it. Monday, same thing, more like follow up, make sure everybody's good to go on the campaign side for your clients, existing clients, those of you that have those new processes to look at. And Monday afternoon to Friday morning or Friday early afternoon, it's just call, right? Now next week is unique. Next week is unique, like I said, for a couple different reasons. Um, Number one, like I said earlier, it is the last full week in this year, like that we have this year. The last full week without holidays or anything that we have this year, because next week and the week after, we have holidays at the end of each of those weeks. Okay. That doesn't mean those weeks are bad. It just means this is the last full week we got. And not every vertical, but a lot of verticals, if you've done your market research, you'll know this. But if you're one of these guys or people that are in the right vertical for this, but a lot of them tend to service people through the weekend anyway, and they may not be available on the phone as much, right? Normally, but this weekend they will be. right? This weekend they will be, which is perfect, like prime time. So you got a little bit of extra planning to do to where you really get things dialed in, and it's going to get not backwards, but it's going to get a little bit out of order, which is fine. It's not like if you're that OCD, I get it. At the same time, I understand you go into it with a plan. So that's where the OCD should be, right? That's where the OCD focus should be, right? You've got this weekend to prep for a long week and through next weekend when you would normally be doing things like systems and processes review, setting up and all that kind of stuff. So really, it's like a week and a half's worth of prep and setup you need to be doing as much of that, if not all of that, as possible Saturday, Sunday, right? Today and tomorrow, because the the week after is that short week, and then it's Christmas time, and you can prospect right up to noon or the middle of the day on Christmas Eve and get clients, no doubt, no doubt. Now, Christmas Day, no. Now, do you have to work all day Christmas Day? No, but that would be your new weekend, right? And because it's towards the end of the week, right? Because it's towards the end of the week, most people are going to take Friday off as well. Does that mean you can't call on Friday? No. However, you just spent a week and a half just blitzing. See, that's what we do. We do this concentrated like effort, right? You did this dash. Now it's going to be prep. So it's going to be 25th, 26th, which is Boxing Day, right? And then the weekend. You just replace the weekend with any kind of catch up you can do, any kind of follow up you'd like to do. It's going to be a nice long weekend and still very profitable. You'll pull clients while everybody else is still very much right in the throes of the holiday season, or holiday mode, I call it. And then the next week you'll have a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday again. So it's a short week, and then it's the holiday, right? Actually, New Year's Eve is, isn't it Thursday? Let me double check. Yeah. So you can actually, so it'd be Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. It's a short week, but only by a day. And yes, you can get clients on the 31st. It's one of the most, it's one of the most effective days, one of the best days to get clients, believe it or not. It really is. So that means Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then you've got New Year's Day. Now, most people, when they celebrate New Year's Eve, this is the thing, like, you don't need a week to celebrate New Year's Eve, just like you don't need a week to celebrate Christmas. You don't need New Year's Eve comes down to a countdown at midnight on Thursday this month, this year. And what do we always do New Year's Day? It's a holiday and it's on a Friday. But what do we always do New Year's? I mean, nothing. Absolutely nothing, right? Nothing's open, at least in the US, I mean, mostly. Um, there's nothing to do. And so everybody that, except like recover from a hangover, which there's a lot of people that don't drink like that, okay, even during New Year's, which means they're going to wake up, they're probably going to sleep in, enjoy their day, but somewhere halfway through the day, they're going to realize, fuck, it's a Friday and it's a brand new year, and what am I doing with my life, right? So Friday afternoon, not a bad time to do some follow up. Again, first of the year, it's the same concept as to why New Year's Eve is so good, right up until late afternoon, and then go from January first, go right into January 1st in the afternoon with that same process, and then guess what? The second and the third, you've got a weekend, and then you already know the process. Wash, rinse, repeat at that point for setting up your review, your systems and processes review, setting up your to-do lists in your calendar for your sessions that you're going to have the following week, and wash, rinse, repeat. I mean, that's really all there is to it until it's time to hire, train somebody. At that point, you add that to your to-do list into pieces in the order and instructions that I give you to do that, and that's it. Right? It just happens to be something else you're doing for that week. Right? You're not going to keep adding time and keep adding time. I guess you could, but you can still do everything an hour to 2 hours a day, 5 days a week. And then if you did some, like I said, some extra work on Saturday, you'd be able to really have a business that's dialed into itself, and is easy to run from any position before you ever make your first hire. and that's kind of what you want. It's like building a McDonald's franchise without any kind of map or model, and you're making the burger machine as easy as possible to use, but you're also making the fry machine as easy as possible, like a 14-year-old could use it, right? The cash register, you got to make it as easy as possible to use, that all that kind of stuff. So um, hopefully that makes sense in terms of how to prep, what what we're looking at schedule wise, where you should be mentally. It is a little bit different, because of the fact that the holidays, Christmas and New Year's both land on towards the end of the week this year in December. It's not always like that. Obviously, it shifts around, so every year is going to be a little different or unique when it comes to how to play December, right? But I think you get the idea. I mean, there's some pretty basic rules. It's Monday through Friday's fine, and then the last full week is always pretty good through the weekend, um, right up until Christmas Eve. Don't call Christmas Day. Usually not day after Christmas either, but it's not terrible as long as it's not on a weekend, right? But if Christmas ends on a weekend or whatever goes over the weekend, then yeah, don't do that. And then call right up until Christmas, or excuse me, right up until New Year's Eve, and make sure to carry that over in the afternoon on New Year's Day. And everything else is wash, rinse, repeat, schedule wise, right? So hopefully that makes sense. I'm gonna grab some. I don't know why I said some. I'm gonna grab the link. It's like I got 12 links here. Sorry, I'm looking at the calendar. It's all on my way. There we go. I'm going to paste the Zoom link here into the comment section for you. And feel free to come in. I know this is a little bit short, but again, if there's not a ton of stuff for me to teach you or talk to you about for today's topic, then I'm not going to just waste your time, right? So um, a lot of times you'll notice I talk a hell of a lot faster than I am today. That's because there's a little bit less information in terms of what to absorb about where you're at in the process. And you'll also find that as things go on, yeah, we're hot and heavy at the beginning because there's a lot of things to set up. I say a lot, comparatively speaking. There's a lot to do initially just to get in the right place. But once you're in that right place and you're able to start collecting clients, right, acquiring clients, and building systems and processes, the conversations become much shorter between us, and they become very much, hey, this, and this. Have a good week. Do this, and this. Have a good week. Call me next week. That kind of thing. So, anyway, it's pretty interesting how that works, but that's how it works. So, if you'd like to ask questions, come into the Zoom. I see we've got Andy coming in here in a second, and you can also ask questions in the comment section as well. And I'll be more than happy to answer your questions in either place. See everybody still saying hello. I'll take attendance in a little bit as well. Let me go ahead and take care of Andy here first. Hey Andy, what's going on? Oh, you don't have your mic plugged in yet. Let's uh, let's wait on you to get your mic plugged in. There you are.
Hi, William.
Hey,
How you doing? All right.
I'm good. How can I help you?
It's just a couple of points, mate. I'm just getting quite way into my pitch. Haven't all the guys that said they were going to do it didn't? I couldn't get hold of them. Went into witness protection. So I've just been ploughing forward, and
Right.
when I don't know if I priced the call wrong or I'm not getting the urgency enough across, but they all seem to think that $220 per call is really expensive. And I keep
How
trying
much?
to loop
How
around
much?
about
How much per call?
$20.
Oh, thought you said 220.
No, sorry, I was going to say 200. I just meant $20 per call. Um,
They seem to
getting
think
quite
they
near.
seem to think
Yeah,
$20 per call is too expensive based on what?
I use that line, and I couldn't really get much more than like start going all over the place. But I don't know how else I was trying to convey. I said, these are people that desperately need a tow truck. They're live, they're exclusive to you, and I just keep looping around. But I don't know how else to additionally um, convey the value. I start to talk about the job, how many jobs you book, and the same thing keeps coming up again. Well, I've got to pay for calls that I don't book. I just seem to be struggling on them 2 points more than anything.
Okay. And how many people are we talking about?
I haven't got the stats to hand. I can log into the but I don't know. Maybe today. Let's have a look. Hold on. When was it? Oh, no, Safari. Okay, hold on. It was. I got near. It was just like there were some quite good conversations. Um, I haven't. One, two. Maybe I actually had like a lengthy conversation with about 6 or 7 people, customers.
Yeah, but how many of those conversations went this way that you're talking about, where they were hesitant to give you a deposit to try you out?
Well, nobody paid up, so all of them. But I got quite a few said, yeah, more information, keep in touch, sort of thing. But I
Those
couldn't
aren't the
do a
same
good enough
thing.
job.
Those aren't the same thing. Again, listen to what I'm asking you, Andy. How many people that you pitched complained about the price and that's why they didn't use the deposit? And you said compared to what? How many people did you say that to about the price?
Without listening to all the call recordings, I couldn't answer that question. Don't know.
Okay. And you made calls today
Yes.
and you don't know that number.
No, I just trying to tell you now. Hold up. I don't know exactly how many people said that exact same thing to me, but that was the general problem that I was coming up against. That
Okay.
was.
Well, outside of call recordings, I really couldn't tell you other than what I've already told you. It's going to be, first off, it's not, if you're, if they're concerned about 200 bucks, they
Mhm.
may not be a fit. You may not be
Okay.
qualifying well enough. Uh,
Hmm.
but if you're telling me every person you spoke to, which you can't tell me that, right? And that's very clear. You've
No.
made that clear. Uh, but if it's every person that's saying that to you, then it's definitely something you're saying or not saying, or conveying or not conveying. And in most cases, that's going to be the urgency, the reassurance, and reassurance is big, right? Just because urgency is something I highlighted with you doesn't mean that reassurance is now non-existent. You need both. You've got to have both, but you have to have them at the right time. Urgency is the entire call. Urgency is the entire call. It's always there, because when you're cut in the neck, or you're bleeding out from the neck, it just doesn't stop bleeding unless your heart stops beating, right? So you have the problem the entire time you're trying to work through the emergency, no matter what. And in this case, uh, it's your problem, yes, but you have to maintain that position the entire time. Okay. Now, the reassurance comes in when they're, I don't know, I don't know, I don't know, I'm on the fence, right? That's when you start talking about, and this isn't listed in the script because most of the time, as you get better with the phone, the reassurance is already there, right? The reassurance is already there throughout the phone call without you realizing that it's there, because you sound the most confident you've ever sounded on the phone. So there's something in the way you sound that's triggering this in them. And what you need
Okay.
is, at towards the end, at the pitch, is to come over the top with the reassurance to counteract that lack of confidence that they have throughout up to that point. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And it's a problem that self corrects once you correct the over the top at the end. At a certain point, you'll get to where you don't even have to do that kind of stuff. Okay.
Okay.
Now, things to do for reassurance towards the end to come over the top. There are a couple different things you can say. For example, what do I need? Tell me, listen, we're talking about a $200. Listen, Jack, listen, Tom, whatever. I'm going to level with you. I deliver phone calls for a living. These are people that you're just not going to find calls like this. And yeah, you pay for them. And I know you're not used to that. Nobody is in the towing industry. I also get that. But they're also not used to being able to charge whatever the hell they want, whenever they want, and close their own deals, no red tape, none of that stuff. You remind them, right? You give them the whole deal. And then here comes the urgency. I've got these calls. They're coming in every day. They have to go somewhere. To you, to your competition down the street. I'm not threatening you. They're going somewhere, okay? I'm talking about a $200 deposit. You can't even get a good classified ad for that. And I'm talking about 10 phone calls or whatever, yeah, $20 a call. I'm talking about 10 phone calls of people that are highly qualified that need your help. All you have to do is pick up the phone when they ring and close the business and send a truck out, right?
Yeah. I
You're
think maybe I'm
covered by
tripping. Just I've just
protections. So then you see what I'm saying? You're covered by protections. Then you wrap it up with, I'm sorry, I had a brain fart. You're covered by payment protections for your card, right? Chargeback protection. Uh, Not saying you should charge back, and you're not going to want to. If anything, you're going to want to spend more with me. But all I'm asking for is this: why we start small. All I'm asking for is $200. Let me show you what we can do for you, right? Give me one shot. That's another one. I like to use that phrase a lot. Just give me one shot. Let me show you what we can do. And for
yeah.
$200, it's kind of a to them. It's a well. Let's see what he can do. They're not in that. They're not in that mode yet. Does that make sense? Otherwise, they would have
Yeah.
already told themselves that pretty much.
A lot of them are saying. I mean, I suppose it's quite good that I'm getting this far in and I'm still talking. I'm a
Oh
fair
yeah.
way in,
Oh yeah.
so that's
That's
not a
not.
bad
It's
thing. I
no.
just
It's not even. No. It's not even to be considered a bad thing, Andy. No.
okay. I think I think probably I'm a bit more nervous than I originally anticipated,
That's
but
okay. Hey, that's
that's just
okay.
normal. That's just nerves.
Exactly. It's normal. It's nerves. I've told you I've seen people literally shaking, physically shaking, while they were on the
You
phone
know,
closing somebody
I've,
like a boss.
some of the people in the deep south, they even like I really uh, struggle to understand me. And I spoke to a couple of people in like Philly and Pittsburgh today, and they were just fine. So I think it's just depending where the because I'm using your data.
Hmm.
Um,
I wouldn't
okay,
worry. I wouldn't worry about that too much. You're trying to
okay,
overanalyze. See.
yeah, okay. No, I know it's me. I don't think it's the
Yeah.
data. I'm just saying I'm not targeting one area. It's just all the data that's in the
Okay.
list.
Okay. Well, keep doing what you're doing. Understand that you need to keep them on the phone, right?
Yeah.
After those first two ghosted you, which again, it's not an "I told you so" thing, but what did I tell you about
You
those
told me
two
so.
guys?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
told you. I told you it was
Listen,
highly likely, right? And to
yeah.
follow up, put them in your follow up. That doesn't mean forget about them. Keep following up. Don't feel like because you reached out 3 or 4 times that they're done. They're not. They could start up
No.
with you in a couple weeks or next week, right? So put them in
Well,
your
one
follow up
guy
processes and
I
keep
had
going.
first call was awesome. The guy owns got 12 trucks. He's based out of he covers sort of Philadelphia area.
Hmm.
Um, long conversation with him. He actually asked me, can I send him some more? I tried like over and over again on the phone, about 20 minutes, and he was asking if I could do pullouts. If I could only do pullouts, is that? I said I didn't think it's really possible. He said that would be
Only?
more interesting. Yeah, I said I don't think it's possible.
No,
He couldn't
no.
split it.
I mean, I guess you could go that way with it, but I wouldn't. I mean, there's
No.
so much money on the table that they're leaving. Yeah, that's not.
Yeah.
Uh-uh.
But this guy had like contracts with loads of bigger companies, and he was quite well established for the sound of things. He just that
He's trying
I
to
don't know. I
cherry
just
pick.
happened
He's
the way
trying to
was
cherry. He's trying to
yeah,
cherry pick
yeah.
through your shit, and you're not going to do that.
I said no, but
Right.
I just thought I'd
Now,
ask you.
here's the good indicator of what you just told me, right? If
Mm.
somebody is coming at you from that perspective, and then someone else is coming at you from a perspective of they don't see the value in paying $20 for call, what are you clearly not communicating?
The value of the call.
100%. You got people trying to fucking shortchange you, cherry pick your leads, and by leads, that's how they look at it, right? They don't understand. And because they don't understand, that tells me that the value was not communicated successfully enough. The urgency still needs to be there, but the communication of the value, right? Communication of the value. When somebody says something like that, I use it as a kind of like an indicator, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm trying to think of the oh The lines, I say keep it between the lines on the road, right? And I use that whole
Yeah.
analogy. That's a line on the road that when I see that, I know to course correct, pull the steering wheel away from the line, right? As I'm approaching it. That's something that's an indicator that you need to be aware of. Um, if somebody's stalling you, it's not because they don't want business. If they said yes initially that they need more business, it's because something doesn't make sense to them. They don't understand something yet. Because nobody's going to just say yes to that and then not have a serious conversation with you about it, unless something had just come up and you can hear some crazy shit going on in the background, like actually happen. That does happen sometimes, but very, very rarely, right? And even sometimes it does if you've got their attention well enough and they understand the value of what you're pitching. Whatever's going on in the background, they put a stop to it immediately so that they can continue the conversation with you. And
One thing Cutlam did say is that their jobs is only worth like $75, and I was trying to. This is probably yet again we're just having enough experience to getting this far down the
right, seventy-five
trying to close.
dollars, $75 from where?
That's their average job is what it's
Yeah,
worth.
but from who? There's a reason why it's only worth $75 average.
Yeah, because it may be from the Moat Club or AAA, but that's what I
Almost
asked them.
guaranteed,
That's
almost
yeah.
guaranteed. Okay. So again, they're trying to they think they're going to get those kinds of calls for one thing, and they also think that possibly that they're in a rotation that they're not in because all these
Hmm.
calls come to them right from you.
Hmm.
So
I
there's
mean,
there's a lot that they don't understand that you're just not communicating. It sounds like. I'd still say
I
keep the
do.
urgency high throughout the entire call, reassurance at the end over the top. But it sounds like right now, just a red flag is communication of value needs to be there more.
It might just be that I'm trying to, and I'm trying to close everybody that that hasn't hung up on me. So I'm just going through and just like getting it till I can get it, get the repetition a lot better. Um, but yeah, I'm sure it never happened. I just like
Nothing,
to have had a close one.
nothing wrong with
That's
that. There's nothing wrong with that. Just keep your head up. It's not something that can't be tweaked, and it just sounds like the value communication is not there, and it should be there because of the loop back.
mm,
It should be there because every time you loop back through a pitch, there's the five, what we call the five reasons why you need to do business with me, right? And those are the things you need to know like the back of your hand. Live exclusive phone calls. There's a back office with call recordings, a review dispute process that's built in real time. You can review and dispute calls if it's not good quality. And this is all I do. This is all we do. And then you ask for the money. You go right back into the pitch. And believe me, sometimes asking for the money again is what's missing. There's only a few main areas where people tend to screw up, and one of the main ones is obviously urgency reassurance or a lack of communicating the value, the pitch. Uh, in other words, they're not saying the pitch exactly the same pretty much every time. They're not asking for the money enough. But those are the main things. Outside of that, the rest comes down to how you answer the phone, which is very simple. You're not having those problems because you're actually continuing conversations with people, so that's not the problem at all. You're getting people to say yes to they need more business right now. That's not the problem. So qualifying questions, I don't know because I haven't heard your qualifying questions. However, I also know that
reading. So I've got them right here. It's how big is your service area? How far do you go out? Do you have a dedicated answering service to answer the phone?
you don't work,
How many trucks?
you don't say dispatch.
I do say it as well, but I'm just reading off what I've got written there. I say dispatch, and I say, what's your operation run? Are you like 24/7? How many trucks do I say? How many calls do you handle a day? And do you do roadside assistance? And then I go into the be able to take good care of these calls.
Okay. I mean, those aren't bad questions. I think you could work on them. There's a couple towards the end
Okay.
that I feel like maybe could be pushed together and
Okay.
you can ask another one, right?
What other questions should I be asking for
Well,
qualifying questions?
you didn't ask them anything about where they've bought phone calls from before, what that experience has been
Yes,
like. I mean,
yes,
you're
yes,
not
yes.
setting yourself up,
That's the
dude,
one.
for, see what I'm saying? Like, yeah,
Yeah, I've just
there's,
literally got the script printed off the Google Drive.
that's cool. There's nothing wrong with that either. Just,
Yeah,
again, there's things that need to be tweaked on it, like your
oh,
industry jargon. Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with saying dedicated answering service, but I would say dispatch should be like, and so, and the way I would ask it doesn't sound like it would be written. There's a difference between the way the script is written. It's not written to be read like a book. Like if you
yeah,
read books and then you read the script that I've written, it's actually not written in the same format. I wrote it out exactly how I would be able to verbalize it. So it's written as if I had spoken it, which most books again are not written that way or in that format. And if they are, then they're sent off to an editor to polish it, right? Into a book format from someone doing uh, speech to text, right? That kind of thing. This is not, this is deliberately written as you would speak it. So, meaning when you make changes and add things like dispatch, you don't just write the word dispatch because that's what amateurs do. The pros are going to go in there and say how they would actually say it, and they would sit there and think, okay, you got to put yourself on the phone, uh, imaginary, but still on the phone, and say, okay, how would I ask this question? I'm going to make it the second question, so it's going to be, and do you have a dispatch or dedicated answering service, right?
okay.
And I would say, and do you have a dispatch or a dedicated answering service? Question mark. So that way the word and is in there. So all I got to do is read it and it sounds exactly like I'm just talking.
It's fun. It's funny you should say that because it felt to me that I was asking almost too quick for the money because I'm getting through the qualification
Yeah,
questions and
and
they were
that's
saying great.
you want to
Okay,
because
okay.
what's the first answer always going
No,
to be, Andy? And no.
no.
So guess what
Yeah.
you got to do? You got to get there so that you can work on
Okay.
why it's a no because it's a
Yes.
$200 offer. It's not
Yeah.
like you could there are things in the convenient you could spend $200 in a fucking 7-Eleven, Andy, anywhere in the
Yeah.
world practically, except maybe Asia. I mean, it'd be really hard to do, but you could probably do it. Spend a couple $100 in there. Are you kidding me? Like they don't, a couple $100? None of your clients should be sweating that. Potential clients should be sweating that. And if they are, they're sweating it for the wrong reasons because of what we just discussed. So back to your qualifying questions and any modifications that you end up uh, making to the script, which I wouldn't right now, just the qualifying questions. Make sure that they're written out as if you're reading. Excuse me, as if you're not reading them, as if
Yeah.
you're almost like if you need work on this, go look at transcriptions of
Yeah.
calls, and not just your calls or anything. I'm talking about go to YouTube, and YouTube actually has a function in the lower right hand corner of most videos, if the video creator has enabled it for of transcriptions, and a transcription box pops up. And just watch a couple of YouTube videos that have someone speaking, and look at how the text is written. It's written word for word, follow the bouncing dot. That's why I do it that way. It makes a lot of sense. It's easier to follow. It's more natural um, to the listener because it sounds like you're not actually reading, right? Um, you can get good enough to where that's not going to be a problem later on. But for right now, that's where your focus would be to
Okay.
enable you to do things like keep the urgency in your tonal patterns, right, the entire way through. That's going to help. And then the reassurance over the top. So,
Yeah. I think maybe that's where I'm having quite long. Well, I think it's a good thing to have longer conversations. That they do ask where I'm from because of the accent, so then maybe that kind of makes them feel a little bit more understandably. Maybe I've got to do a lot more reassurance because when I say I'm from London,
that's a flag, right?
yeah,
Not that you're from London. The flag is
yeah,
when they ask you where you're from, where's their head at? Is it on what you
uh,
have and how awesome it is?
no,
No. Is this guy
no,
legit?
Yeah, that's what they're.
And it's very much coming right back over the top, not overdoing it, but you're not going to overdo it because you're not doing it enough. So if anything, overdoing it at this point would be better than not doing it at all or not enough, right? And that is, uh, well, I'm based in London. Well, this is what I do for a living. I drive phone calls to towing companies, man. You know, there's nothing better than I love to do than to wake up in the morning and drive phone calls to U.S. towing companies. That is my business. I just happen to live in London. That is, you see how like it's not cocky,
Yeah,
it's not arrogant, it's not in your face, but it's also like almost like you're saying, why would you fucking ask me that without saying it like that? Does that make sense?
it makes complete sense.
Okay. So, and that's how it sounds to us anyway. Again, that may not fall in alignment with how you guys talk to each other over there, and I understand that. But to us, we're going to read that as, damn, why was I even asking that? And they're going to start to question the thing. They don't know why because they're asking that because they didn't. All they're going off of is how you sound, what you're talking about. So that reaction, when you stop getting that, you'll know that you're right in the right spot, in the sweet spot for not having to bring shit up like that. After you get your first couple clients, this goes away completely, almost every time.
Yeah, you know what? The more I'm talking to you now, I think it's like we might be able to listen to US and UK on a video or something, but when you actually talking to somebody on the phone from a cold or voice drop and asking for money, it's a little bit of the gap becomes a little bit bigger,
Oh yeah,
perhaps.
oh yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, how
So
how
I just need to calibrate to
how
US
often
way of
how
talking.
often do you get a call, right, Andy? How often do you get a call from someone in the U.S. looking for money from you?
Not very often. I just
And
signed up for
vice
somebody's
versa,
list
same.
somewhere. Yeah,
Vice versa,
yeah,
same thing.
yeah.
That doesn't mean
Never
that
actually.
that doesn't mean they're not going to do business with you because of it,
Yeah.
right? It's really an advantage
Actually,
because they have to pay
I
attention
booked a
more.
call with Jordan Belford's office to hear the straight line done on me by a pro, and God, he was fucking good.
Well
Seriously,
then,
that's a good point of view. If you want to hear what the straight line sounds like, go and sign up for Jordan Belfort's newsletter, and there's an option to give him your number, and they call you, and they would do it on you and tell you about. They try to sell you his like 3 or 4 grand calls,
nice.
but man, they sound friggin' awesome. They do it. They really do.
And
But
do you notice how they almost always sound the same?
yeah,
And a lot of the, not all the stuff from Belfort, but a lot of the stuff that Belfort teaches in straight line, I've pulled from
oh
100%,
yeah, I know you
100%.
have. Yeah.
Because it, well, yeah, because of the loop backs, but also because of how I've structured the script. There's other things that I've added to it that are mine, and then there's things that I've added to it from Grant Cardone, Jeffrey Gitmer. There's a lot in there, but it's not something that was built overnight. It's something that has morphed into what it is. I mean, I'm not saying it'll never change from this, and it will from time to time, but no major changes. The format, the way it is, there's just certain things that need to be. This is why I teach you now. You know why I say, hey man, you should probably know the script word for word back in your hand because now we're talking about the fine tuning points of okay, urgency, because how do you put that in writing to where people are going to latch onto that, right? It's just one of those things where you've got to read the script, go through it on some calls, and come back, and then it's like, okay, I get what he's saying now about urgency, got it, and then the reassurance, and then the pitch, and asking for the money over and over, making sure the value's communicated, listening for things that are flags, right? And you're going to start hearing those, and when you hear them, you're going to come to me and tell me. It helps if you have numbers. I will say that. If you have numbers
Yeah,
of how many
I
times
can.
you've heard it, then I can be like, okay, 6 out of 7 means
Well, next
it's
time
not
I
a
can listen to the calls and make notes.
right. Well, here's my point, and not just that. It's for you more than it is for me. Not that I won't find it useful, obviously, but uh, I want you to get to the point where you're starting to look at your numbers and go, okay, 6 out of 7 of these fuckers are saying the same thing. What am I saying then that's making them say that? And if you can't come up with the answer yourself, then that's a good question to come to me with. Absolutely.
I
You
think,
know what I mean?
yeah, I think it's just probably more nerves of mine. Where in my normal job over here, I can rattle off at a faster pace, and I don't feel any disconnect. I think I'm feeling a disconnect. I may be making them feel it as well, perhaps.
Well, what? Okay, so what? Let's get to the root of that because I think that that would definitely keep you from closing business a lot easier anyway. What
Hmm.
what is the disconnect you feel?
I don't know. It just feels awkward. I felt quite a lot more nervous than I anticipated.
Okay, let's get to the root. Nervous about what? Because I know you can talk to these people on the phone. That's not what you're nervous about. What are you
Yeah,
nervous
I
about?
don't honestly. I don't.
Think
I mean,
about it.
I don't. Um,
I have
that's a
an
good
idea.
question.
I have an idea.
Oh, I can't put my finger on it.
Okay. What what it would be? Okay, let's rephrase it. Think about it this way. Let's try to come out of where you're at right now. So, take a deep breath for me. All right. When you look at when you look at this business model, right? This agency model,
Hmm.
what is there to it? There's getting clients, and then there's what? Once you got a client, you got
Getting
to do
clients,
what?
you got to set them up, and you got to deliver, of
Deliver.
course.
Deliver,
Yeah,
right? Now you have a campaign running or had a campaign running,
yeah,
one of the two, and you've gotten phone calls for your vertical, so you know this not only works, right?
yep,
But my mind would go to you haven't run it yet to an actual client. So there's still some kind of, most likely, some kind of doubt that you're going to be able to do that. Even though, even though you created the campaign that run the calls and you got the call recordings and all that, you still have some inkling of a doubt. Yeah, but can I do it for an actual client? Does that jar? Does that jive? Does that sound like something you're
it does
probably thinking?
underneath. I think
Okay.
it does. Yeah, and I think
So,
I figure what the other thing might
and I'm
be.
not laughing at you, by the way. I'm laughing
No, it's
because
fine. That's
it's
fine.
funny
I'm in a
how
good
well I know
place.
this
I'm in
business. Well, here's the
it's
thing. It's good to have someone like me around to say, here's
yeah.
probably how you're really feeling, dude. Like, and then you go, yeah, no,
You're
that
the
sounds
reason
about
I'm here,
right.
mate.
Because here's why. If you can now remember what we talked about the other day. I don't know if you were on the call yesterday where I talk about coming into alignment and all that. No?
I missed that bit.
Okay. Last couple days actually have been pretty good for that.
I
Where
listened to it before.
okay, so yesterday was really good because I start talking about um, the same stuff I've been talking to you about, Andy, about the other things, right? But it applies here too, at every stage actually, and that is um, you can't expect of your clients what you don't expect of yourself. You know what I mean? You've heard me say
Yeah,
before. I had a mentor that I
with
have a mentor that taught me
going first in NLP.
exactly, but
Yeah,
even really even deeper than that, it's much more of a belief system. It's based on beliefs, and I'm not saying you have to believe a certain way, but I'm saying if there are certain beliefs that you're carrying that are just untrue, but didn't realize you were carrying them, yeah, they're gonna carry through the conversation to the other side. So for example, the mentor I had that taught me this lesson, um, he had people all the time that would hit him up, 6 months after they initially inquired about his offer, and say, "I'm ready to go with that $5,000 offer, 2 3 day program, whatever, or 6 week program, and or $10,000 offer or whatever," and he'd say, "Great." And their first question is almost always after they say they're ready to go, um, "How long will it be before I get my first client?" And then he says back to them, "Well, how long did it take you to make this decision to come
yeah.
in?" And a lot of times, especially the longer it
Just
is, they're
thinking
like, "Oh shit, that
too
long?"
short.
Right. And
Yeah,
so, and
figure
that
two. So,
that comes from where they were at through their process and what they're bringing to the table because the business is very much them. And in this case, it's no different. The business is very much you. Even after you've hired and trained people and you've got them up and running, the business is going to be very much an extension of you, Andy, in many,
yeah,
many ways. So that means good and bad.
yeah.
The good news, though, the good news is you don't have to be perfect. Okay, you don't.
Well,
What you have to be is proficient. There's a difference.
yeah,
So you got to be good. Maybe not the best in the world. You just got to be good at doing X, Y, Z, right? Whatever the task is, and then farm it out with the standards. Maintain the standards. Reward any excess of those standards, right? So excellent performance. Uh, you reward and incentivize even, and that's how you grow from someone who doesn't know how to do as well as his staff does any one position throughout his entire company. And it's not mediocre. It's actually really, really good and works.
Can I
Uh,
say something?
sure.
I just realised. I think when you're saying what's causing it, really sort of made me think. I think some of it, I'm trying to speak unnaturally because I know I speak fast anyway. By UK standards, I speak fast,
Right.
and in my head, I'm thinking, shit, they're slow the fuck down. That's probably making me feel a bit nervous. It's maybe not coming across as I would normally, but I'm talking to you like how I pretty much normally talk. Maybe I'm talking a bit slow. And secondly, I think what's at the back of my head, and you're saying what's deeper, is that I'm thinking, shit, if I got to send them, they don't want to pay for the calls, and I'm starting to think this sort of bullshit,
Then
which
you'll
is
have a
provoking
business.
fear.
Now what do you do?
Yeah, yeah.
I
Then I
got
have
you.
the business. Now what do I do? Yeah, and I'm
I
thinking,
got you.
fuck, I didn't deliver. Now I think that's what it is.
Well, let me work with you on that a little bit. So the idea is this: you're bringing that to the table, even on a deeper level.
Yeah,
It's going to come through, as I just described to you, how it does at every level, from how soon you can get a client to um, what kind of calls they're going to get. Uh, this is why we have an agency website template.
mm,
Did you know that you can get on the phone and close clients without having a website? No problem, actually. All you really need is a direct payment link, to be honest, right? You don't have to have a website. You know why I have the website template created for you? I'll answer rhetorically. It's a rhetorical question. The reason I have that for you guys is because you think you need one, and then you bring that shit onto the phone call. So I have to, because you've been trained and
yeah,
conditioned by
yeah.
fuck all people who don't know any better over the years. I say don't know any better. Let me, that's a little judgy. Let me back up. People that have told you for years and years and years that you gotta have it, and you really don't. I'm not saying that it doesn't help. It does. And because it's a one-click share, it's so much easier just to make you a template and then give you something that's going to convert and convert well while I'm at it, because I'm not just going to give you a piece of shit template either, right?
Mm.
Like that, I made that, and then tweaked it and tested it. I know, um, and got it to where it's at, right? So that not only works well, but it also helps you with not bringing that kind of shit on the phone. So there's certain things that and it's different for everybody, but there's certain things that we bring with us on the phone. That is probably one of the most common ones. Here's the bigger point, Andy. I want you to be aware, not that you're bringing it on the phone. Yeah, you're aware of that now, and we're going to fix that. But what I want you to be more aware of is you couldn't quite pinpoint that on your own. You couldn't tell
Mm.
me what it was, right? Not
No,
because you're not smart enough, by the way. What's missing is the alignment.
outside perspective, i.e. you.
Well, you could say that, and I'm happy to provide that for you, right? But I want you to be able to self-correct as well in the future, right? So I'm trying to
Right.
teach you the lessons. This is one of them business owner things, man. But it is a good one because again, it's one of those things when you learn this and you get this one down, every problem you ever have, you're probably not going to need anything but a quick validation from me. Like, yep, that's exactly where I was at, or that's what I thought. That's what I've been through. I found that to be true. Yes, and then you're off on your own again. Like you don't need me after that, um, which would be great for you because you're going to be much more confident in everything you do. So again, understand and recognize that you weren't able to pinpoint that, which means you're not quite sure how you're feeling. And the reason is again, stuff I covered yesterday is a really good call where we talk about the doubts uh, that you the stuff that you bring into the conversation. So think of it as oh man, I don't have a website. They're going to ask me about a website. And the question you get the most is send me more information. The very thing you ain't got. Damn, I knew they were going to do that, right? It's self-fulfilled prophecy at that point. Um, the same is to be said of lack of confidence. So one of the things I would say, your reassurance is most likely lacking because of that reason. And I want you to be able to pinpoint acknowledge at least the fact I went through the different steps, basically the mindset change, the mindset shift. But I want you to acknowledge that to yourself, not to me or anything. I'm not asking you to bear all your public shit. I'm saying in private you can do this in private, but you got to get real with yourself, and this is one of those things that most people get uncomfortable with. They don't want to do it. It's also why when I say, hey, uh, how much revenue did you collect today? And I'm not saying to you, I'm just saying rhetorically again, how much revenue did you collect today? And people go, oh, well, way back in '09,
Yeah.
blah, 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 fucking story that nobody cares about, by the way. Nobody does. Nobody. Not to hurt anybody's feelings. I'm just telling you the truth. Nobody fucking cares. All I care to understand how to help you, but I don't care about your story. Story can come later if it's that important, right? Because maybe I am interested, right?
I think as well.
But the
That's why
number, I'm sorry, I got to make this point. You got to get right on the number, which means, or the specific answer. So in this case, you weren't able to come up with that answer, and I need you to get right with that, um, and be able to find those answers. And it's going to be a not hard. It may be initially more of a struggle to do that, but it's worth it in the end because you're going to get really good at understanding exactly what's going on with your head and autocorrect on the fly in the middle of a phone call. And that's
it's
what, you know.
whenever you, I mean, I've been in sales my whole life. Whenever I start a new job, they're all like commission only. Until you get your first deal, you always feel like a rookie. It's
Oh yeah.
shit. It's just like till you
Yeah.
pop your cherry and you get that particular pitch good, then you get better and better, and suddenly you're selling for fun.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of different things going on in my head. And most, to be honest, well, what I was probably thinking, like, at the end of my week, with the amount of driving, and I am fucked on a Saturday. Believe me, I'm absolutely fucked. Like, done virtually good for nothing. And I think, like, I called today. Maybe that's something else. I'm thinking, Christ, I really don't want to be calling on Saturdays because I'm just too fucked. I'd rather take. I can do it. I can take half a day every Wednesday permanently and do four
See,
hours every Wednesday and
that's that
follow up.
scheduling we were just talking about. That's
Yeah,
why, see,
yeah,
it's going to be different for everybody. And now, but sometimes, Andy, sometimes it's just a little bit of a learning curve where it's like, okay, I realize that, yeah, Saturday's just going to be completely unrealistic for me. I'm going to have to say fuck that and just dedicate Wednesday then. And then take your fucked time on Saturday and put it to things that are not busy work, but obviously not client acquisition either. So systems and processes review, all that kind of stuff,
yeah.
right?
That I could do. Yeah.
Yeah. And then that way it's like there's no pressure for Saturday. You know you're going to kill it on Wednesday instead. And Wednesday's a prime day, by the way, prime day. So,
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, I
yeah,
thought Wednesday because I run my own diary and like I don't want to do end of the week because I am too fucked. But Wednesday I could get on the dialer for two and do I could do 4 or 5 hours every Wednesday. If I've got to come home and call a few people back I couldn't quite close, that's
that's
completely
different.
doable
Yeah, that's a
on a
follow up.
Thursday or
Yeah.
Friday or Saturday afternoon. That's no problem. But
Yeah,
to start dialing after a week of my job, I'm toast, mate.
I got you.
No, it's helped me a lot. Just like like you said, once they get a few sales, the confidence will build, and then the momentum kicks in, and then everything escalates, doesn't it? I'm just still I haven't even got my training wheels off yet. I'm still training wheels on, and you know, somebody holding the handlebars for me as well.
Mm,
I
I
so
don't know if I don't know if I'd agree with all that. I mean, I feel like just based on my experience and where you're at and what you're doing, you're at the point where now the training wheels are off, right? And there's nothing that you can do that hasn't that there's nothing in the business model that you need to learn outside of getting better at things and scaling. That's it. But in terms of actually driving phone calls, actually getting clients, you have everything, which is the equivalent of like you can stand up on your own without the training wheels on the bike.
no, actually that's
You
not
may
true.
be you may be a bit
I'm
wobbly on the bike, but
yeah, I'm actually
that's what.
happy to
Go ahead.
I'm actually happy to be at this point because I know that
Yeah,
my head says I can go every Wednesday for the next 6 months and do 4 hours. I can make that happen, and you know, I just want to get paying customers, and like I
you
said to you
will.
before, get to January
You will.
and be have customers and just be building upon that.
I
But
told you
next week's
I told
different.
you it's inevitable. Yeah, it's inevitable.
Yeah,
You keep
next week I'll be on the dialer Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, not Thursday and Friday.
okay. Yeah, well Thursday, Friday you use that for maybe like the early weekend stuff, and then I know you say you're fucked on Saturday, but I have a feeling, I have a very very strong feeling that based on what happens next week, you pull in a couple clients, you're going to have the momentum mentally to carry through the tired and make something happen over the weekend as well. Remember, this is the weekend coming up that's going to make a lot of sense for you to carry through. So,
Well, I've hardly got much of a day job next week, so that's fine. It's
okay,
virtually nothing, so
okay,
I won't be fucked.
yeah,
Just
I
remember,
would, if I were you, man, I would be between now and, well, I say take the weekend to prep, and Monday to the 14th all the way to the 24th. It's a 10-day just sprint, 10-day
yeah,
sprint, all out sprint.
okay,
Calls, follow ups, emails, right? Even with people that told you no, call them right back a couple days later. Seriously,
Well, that call Mighty call that, it's got a CRM built into it. So everybody I speak to, I
sweet,
get their email and I put in their name. So when I look on my phone, I can tell who they are. So like I
nice,
haven't got to like looking through, so I can just hit William and I can just pick the conversation up again. So that's a really good feature. Plus all the
nice.
calls are automatically recorded. And by the way, not a single problem with a single call, not one nanosecond of downtime on the call.
Good, that's good.
Without the I'm not even using the hardwire cable, by the way.
Oh, hmm. Yeah, it just sounds like maybe Skype is a resource heavy
Oh,
then. Something.
I just want to one more thing and get on. So I've taken up quite a lot of your time.
That's okay.
You know when the Thank you. You know when the dial is dialing, right?
Yeah.
Each time you start a session. Now I've got that list obviously from Mirai. It's 20,500 companies.
Hmm.
Does that just pick up where it left off each time, or does it start back over?
You'll have to restart it. You'll have to rerun the campaign, and the guys at Dollar Central can help you set that up. Or you can reload the list if you want and do it that way.
Because the campaign's already in. I just press pause when I go into it. I got my hours set. I just put it today's date and I just press go.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that picks up from where it left off,
Oh,
or I
yeah,
just
yeah,
like
yeah.
in.
In that case, yeah, it just picks up wherever you're left off
Okay,
in the list. But once the list runs down, that's what I thought you were referring to. I'm sorry. But
okay,
yeah, once the list runs down, that's how it works. And then once the list runs down, you can reload it, or they have a way to restart the campaign basically. But most cases, I think it's a reload of the same list. You know, you know. But
uh,
that's easy.
that's pretty much it, really. But yeah, I mean, Lisa, I'm quite happy to be at this nice problem of having long conversations but not closing. So it's further forward than was
When you say long conversations, how long are they, by the way?
15, 20 minutes or so.
That's about right. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Most people, when they think long conversations, they think 45 minutes. It takes 45 minutes or an hour to close. This is
No,
a 20-minute close. Yeah. This is
they
not,
haven't got that time. They
yeah,
just
they
want
don't
to.
have the time. Exactly. And that's not every industry, but most of them. And nobody, even if they had the time, they certainly don't want to make the time, at least initially, until you start driving phone calls. Then they'll start taking up some of your time, talking to you about how to get some more of those, right? But
Yeah.
yeah, take what I just said to you, what I gave you today, tweak
No,
it,
I have.
you'll be good. Definitely review that call from yesterday because again, you've got to be able to. I call it self integrity. Like, not that we. So most people pride themselves on their integrity. In other words, how their outward treatment of others and towards others and doing business, doing the right thing by people. Those are good things, by the way. There's nothing wrong with that at all. But a lot of people forget about the self integrity, which is you tell yourself, I'm going to do this, and then you're like, fuck it, I'm sleeping in today. No self integrity, right? Or very low self integrity, maybe not.
That's why I made myself do it today, and I didn't want to do it, but I said if you don't do this, you're a loser. You have to do this, no matter how you feel. It's irrelevant how you feel.
Right. And that's good. That's good. Here's the thing, though. Um, self integrity also comes into play with things like um, the telling yourself the truth. Like I gave a great example of it, following the sales script and how that's why that's a problem for most people, right? Um, I say most because almost everybody I've ever taught has a problem following the sales script. Like they don't understand that I mean literally following it like the bouncing dot, like I've described to you in a couple different scenarios. Um, and I gave a story, and I'm not going to do it again, but because it was a good story. But it was from somebody over in the UK, by the way, um, that I was working with in person, and couldn't understand why they weren't closing people. Are you following the script? Yes, I'm following the script. Of course I'm following the script. I hear you say it all the fucking time. And I'm like, okay, okay. So how about we make a few phone calls and I just sit over here off to the side away from you, like not all up in your shit, and you make some calls. And he did. And I came over and I knew exactly what the problem was right away. I was like, okay, so you still following? He's, yeah, see, I'm following the script and nobody's responded this and that. And so I say, okay, where's your script at? Oh, it's in this window over here. Click, click, click. Had to get like through two, three clicks just to find the window. And I was like, okay. So what's the number one thing I tell you about the script? And he's like, always have it available or in sight. And I was like, yeah, and preferably printed if you can, right? You got a print shop around here? Yeah, it's one down the block. Cool. Okay, so we know one stop we got to make at lunchtime, right? uh,
Hmm.
then I said, pull up those call recordings, right? And let's listen to the first one together. And of course, the first 60 seconds is a lot in the call, and you can tell right away if somebody's following the script or not, right? And so he plays the
Yeah.
call, and it was very much I say, okay, hit pause, and I was like, following the script, and I didn't ask him, I just said the words following the script, and just to see if he would like nod his head, agree, or be like, yeah, that's what I'm saying again, right? Yes, that's exactly what he said, and it was very clearly not the script. I said, okay, here's what I want you to do. I want you to take this little pointy finger and I want you to follow along on the script on your screen, since we don't have it printed right now. With your finger, I want you to show me how you followed verbatim what I said, or very, very close to. And if you can keep moving your finger across that fucking page, I'm gonna give you a cookie. All right. And we did that for three calls, and I said, like by the end of it, he started to understand. Okay, I was not even close, right? And I thought I was. And so my point is that self integrity. It's not like you intended on doing that, lying to yourself, right? And I think that's what I'm getting at is it's not like you're trying to lie to yourself, because nobody, I don't think anybody, especially with good heart like you and many others, um, would
Okay.
intentionally lie to themselves. You know what I'm saying? Like that's kind of fucked up. Some, but not very many, right? And certainly not you. I don't think you're doing it on purpose. Uh, and so what that means is there's that little demon or devil inside of you that's,
Mm.
and it's everybody, by the way. It's not a you thing, dude. It's not just a you thing, I promise. Otherwise, how the hell would I know about it so well, right? Um, so understand that little demon is going to say and do anything he can to trip you up, including like make you think you don't actually know how you feel when you really do,
Mm.
right?
Right.
Um, and how you discover those feelings uh, is by actually just sitting down and asking yourself the tough questions. Like you looked at the campaign and probably said, "Yep, that's good enough," right? Like I'm driving calls, there should be no
Mm.
issues, right? And it maybe wasn't good enough because now there's room, even a sliver of room for doubt. The demon's going to come in and say, well, there's still that sliver. It could be, it's almost like, the commercials for germ killers where they say 99.9% effective. The reason they can't say
Yeah.
100% is because of liability and legal issues, right? But what they really mean is 100%. But there's still that 0.1%, you know what I'm saying, or 0.01 even percent doubt.
Kills
Uh,
everything apart from COVID-19.
what's that?
It kills everything apart from COVID-19.
Right, right. So there's that sliver of doubt, and everybody's making fun of, um, the antiseptic cleaners and all that shit. So it's I don't know. I look at it and I go, man, that really, even something that's 99.99%, hosting server companies have to say 99.99% of the time uptime, right, on their servers, because they do go down from time to time for maintenance, for unscheduled maintenance, for attacks. They just can't. So what that should tell you is like nothing in this life is guaranteed. All that we can do is make it the absolute best we can do. And I can tell you right now, your campaigns are very much at a 99.99% level of delivery. It will get even better based off of the optimization. But there's not a doubt in my mind you're driving phone calls. The problem
I've
is
got about
that's my
I've got
mind, not yours.
negative keywords in them as well. But
Right. Well, again, the problem is that there's not a doubt in my mind, I said, right? So that's my mind, not yours.
yeah,
You've got to get you got to go back, revisit that, and get real clear on with that little demon in there telling you you ain't got it, even though you know you do, right?
yeah,
That's it. When you have that settled, uh, it's going to be easy. And you know what? One of the things that helps the demon shut up is kind of like a okay, so the demon usually, and this is at least for me, so take this for what it's worth. The demon usually says something along the lines of, "You know that's not going to fucking work." And then I
yeah.
say to myself, "Bullshit." And so we get into this argument, not actual argument, but you know what I'm saying, where it's like this back and forth, this tug of
Me,
war.
myself, and William.
Right, right. But it's more like it's like a tug of yeah, it's like a tug of war, right? But instead of a tug of war engaging in that, I go to the mode of, all right then, little devil, let me show you. Let me prove you wrong. I'm going to jump on the phone, get a client just to prove you wrong, to prove that you're wrong because you're wrong, right? Fuck this tug of war. I'm going to let go of battling you over it and I'm just going to prove it. And then the only thing the devil has in response to that is, okay, let's see what you got. And then because you have that determination on the phone, now there's the confidence in the offer, and the devil has to
Boom.
shut up because the devil said he would. The little devil inside you said he would give you a shot to see if you got it, and the only way to do that, to see if your campaigns will actually deliver or not, on the little tug of war. Even though we all know the campaigns will deliver, the point is if you don't believe it, you got to tell the devil, well, let me go get a client and let me fucking show you, let me prove it, and then obviously the only way to prove that with the campaign is to have the client. That's the battle you're trying to fight anyway. So so now you've got a client, and then you plug in the campaigns and start optimizing, and then you can be like, see, devil. Now that doesn't mean little devil inside shuts up forever. He's on to the next thing because he's an asshole. You know what I'm saying? He's always
Sure
going to
is.
be on to the next thing. I'm telling you, it's going to be, dude. You've never hired anybody in your life, Andy. Who the fuck are you, right? You've never. Oh my God, he's such an asshole. He'll say some of the most heinous shit for no reason other than to just say it. He's that guy. He's the guy that nobody would be friends with, that little devil inside of you. I'm telling you. The good news is you come to him and you say, well, number one, other people are doing it. Number two, I got everything I need right in front of me from this
Yeah.
guy named William. Oh yeah, but William doesn't know. William this and that. And then you say, well, you know what? The only way to know is to prove you wrong. Let me go prove it. Let me go hire somebody. Let me run it. And then you hire somebody and you train them up and you look at the devil and you go, can you shut the fuck up now? And he's going to say yeah, but he's on to the next thing. He's on to the next thing. You're not going to be able to scale into another vertical easily. Dude, this happens at every level, six figures, seven figures, you name it, man.
I've no
Where
doubt.
he's going to be at every turn, he's going to be trying to fuck with you. The good news is though, the more you have these conversations of proving it to him or her, it becomes this thing where sometimes he comes walking up and he's, I don't know, I have this vision of like this little fat piece of shit devil coming up, just looking like shit, lazy, mean looking, and he just comes up and he already sees that you're in the middle of proving him as he just stops and shrugs his shoulders and turns around and walks away. Like he already knows it's coming. And it's when you reach that point mentally that everybody goes, man, you're so confident, Andy. How do you do it? Uh, how do you achieve this? How did you do it so fast? And a lot of people don't realize that the battle that you fought. Actually, there's a good quote. I shared this on my Facebook the other day. Hold on.
You seen? You familiar with Convoy, the film Convoy? Have you
Are you talking
Netflix?
about the Tom Hanks one?
Chris Christopherson.
Oh,
No,
Chris Christopherson.
Chris
No.
Christopherson. No, he's
Mm-mm.
a really good film
I
actually,
love that guy
and
though. He's a good
I love.
actor.
He doesn't age that guy, does he? He looks the
I
same now as
swear.
30 years ago.
Yeah.
Honestly, doesn't.
Yeah.
He says something very similar, and he says something like, "You got." That's why he calls himself the Duck. That's his handle. He's a trucker. And he says like, "I've lost my train of thought now." But he basically says that you got to like, whatever shit's going on the outside, but you got to paddle like the devil underneath, and that's his handle, the Duck. And he's always Chris Christopherson's always cool and collective, isn't he? He's that kind of
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
character.
Very
He's
low
just like
key,
that.
cool. Yeah.
Yeah, very low.
So
And
here's the quote.
that's weird. Yeah.
Here's the quote. It's from Kevin Nations, actually. It's a mentor of mine. And it's the next time you see someone who's a major success, instead of asking what break they got that you didn't, ask yourself what kind of battle they fought and won that you avoided. And that's almost the case every time, dude. Almost every
Yeah.
time. And that's what exactly I was talking about is you got that little devil inside and he's going to fuck with you constantly. But you know that now, you know that you've got to get into alignment with the self integrity side. And again, I'm not attacking you saying your integrity is for
No,
shit.
listen,
I
no,
believe your integrity is good. The self
it's
integrity
important.
is so much easier for us to compromise on, right?
Yeah.
Even for good hearted people and smart people, it's easier for us to get lazy on ourselves than it is, or cut corners on ourselves or something that we're trying to do than it is outwardly to someone else, right? Um, so the self integrity has got to be in alignment with, in this case, well, then I got to go prove it, right? You got to have that conversation with the devil. I got to go prove that I can do this, and not only can I do it, I can do it well and quickly. And the devil's going to go on, to the next little thing, right? He's going to waddle his ass over to the next thing, and it'll come, right? It'll come, but when it does, you'll
I
be aware, you'll recognize it, and
this
do what you got to do.
I just I take that way too much of your time, but
That's okay, man.
this whole this whole December dash is perfect because though I'm progress not perfection is a perfect example there. Nowhere near perfect. I am progressing because just
Yeah.
like this call talking with you now means tomorrow Monday I'm a better place. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday I'm prospecting the shit out of the dialer.
Yeah.
Friday I'm prospecting. Saturday I'm prospecting. So like by the time New Year does come, I would have I have a few clients on,
At
and
least
I'll
I
be
think I
at
I
least
still think I still think that's way too small. I also know once you get your first, the second comes so much faster. So
oh yeah.
you're the number that few that you're thinking about that can happen in a day, and that's not a joke. Um, and also today's work, uh, today's work helps you for today and tomorrow. You're talking
Yeah.
about Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and I understand. But your work today and tomorrow help also prep you for the success you're going to have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And I know you know that. I'm just making sure everybody's
Well,
clear
which
on
is like
that.
this whole month of doing this and
Yeah.
getting on a life call and getting my problems sorted out with you means that I'm progressing at such a huge rate
Yes.
forward. I might not have 20 clients at this minute, but like I'll be a damn sight
You could end the
nearer than
week.
I would be.
You could end, or
Yeah.
excuse me, you could end the month with that. You could. It's entirely, and by possible, I don't mean like most people mean when they say it's possible. I mean, you can make that next week. You can be within striking distance of that. Like not only possible, but likely or imminent. That's one of my favorite words is imminent. Um, because it means it's going to happen. And I'll tell you, man, your success is imminent, right? It's just a matter of the speed. That's it. I happen to think that next week, if you prepare properly this weekend, is going to be one hell of a week. And because it's such a long fucking week, that kind of bleeds into the weekend and into the next week. And then we take a fucking holiday, right? um, and you blitz. If you blitz over the next 10 days, starting Monday, man, I mean,
That's exactly what I'm doing.
a client a day, two clients a day, you could do, and then a rush on the 3 or 4 days or the 4 days between Christmas that you have open and New Year's, Monday through Thursday, man, you could double down on you pull 10 clients, you could double down on that in a heartbeat and walk away with 20 clients by the end of the year. There's no there's no that's not unrealistic. In fact, if anything, it's like I said, there's a good chance, a good probability that that's going to happen if you keep going at the pace that you're going at. So just keep doing what you're doing, Andy. You're on
No,
the
listen,
way.
mate. It's just that, yeah, I haven't got a client yet, but I will. I'm just
Yeah,
glad to come this far and be moving forward.
yeah, man. Keep doing what you're doing. Um, I've got some looks like I've got some questions to answer here.
All right.
Do need to.
No, I'm good, mate. I've had loads from you today,
Okay,
so thank you.
you're
All right,
welcome,
mate.
man. I'll talk to you,
Yeah,
I guess, tomorrow or later this week.
tomorrow. Yeah.
Okay,
Okay, mate. Cheers. Bye-bye. Bye.
cheers. All right. Uh, Last call for questions. Attendance, don't worry about it. I'm going to mark everybody today. I know I said I wouldn't do that often, but I tell you, if calls run long, I'm probably going to tend to lean to do that because I just want to make sure that everybody gets the help they need. David, so I do see some comments. I'm going to answer those. If you do have questions that you'd like to ask, ask away. This is last call. I see Julian. I also see, well, Adrian saying hello, which is totally okay, but no question there. So I got David's question and Julian's question that I see currently. So David Bennett is asking or saying, just went through session one of the COVID Client Challenge from April. Would you give your updated thoughts on niche selection from where we are right now? Sure. Um, anytime, well, you've got some cities that are still under shutdown or not able to open. The good news is we don't target places like restaurants, right? I say the good news. It sucks for them, and I really wish our industry made a lot of sense for them, but it doesn't. It just doesn't. And so a lot of places like that are hurting. However, a lot of the service industries and things that I covered are very much the same way. It's not that the others don't make money if they're open um, or considered essential outside of the list that I gave you originally in that session one or day one, but it's very much the same. There's not really that much of a difference at all. Right now it's the holiday season, which tends to be slower for almost every vertical. There's a few that pick up, like appliance repair picks up in the wintertime because people are traveling or whatever. But there's less of that going on. So yeah, it picks up, but it's not picked up like it did last year, if that makes sense. Um, just because of everything that's going on, right? The shit craziness that's going on. Um, but every vertical is pretty much the same right now. And if we go into shutdowns again, even if it's targeted areas, other states will follow suit. Um, I keep seeing they're pushing it in the news, pushing the agenda of hospitals are getting overcrowded when really they're not. Um, they're still uh, within an acceptable range, and it's just fear mongering, just fucking fear mongering, which I can't stand. But at the same time, I understand also where you're coming from. I can tell you this that when I gave you those updates and the verticals and why they do so well, no matter what happens, even a shutdown. I mean, think about that for a second. When in our history have we ever just said, you know what, fuck it, everybody's done for the month, you know? And it started with 2 weeks. Reminds me of that old movie Money Pit with Tom Hanks and oh shit, what's her name? Anyway, it's a '80s actress. Um, Money Pit's where they buy the house and then they got the contractor that comes through and it's like how long they keep asking him every time how long is it going to take to finish the house and he always gives them the same fucking answer. 2 weeks, right? Is it how long is it going to take? 2 weeks. Everything is 2 weeks, right? And that's what they did to us. And even in the middle of all of that and all of that uncertainty, while the business may have dropped 20, 30% maybe, right? Guess what was still running? Those businesses, right? So it it may seem like and feel like everything was shut down and nobody was doing jack shit, but I promise you there were people on the road. I promise you there were people handling service calls and all that kind of stuff. So there are very much the same. It's the same environment, if you will, on all of those verticals, just less strict, I guess is the best word I'm looking for, because we're not on a national lockdown again yet, anyway. So hopefully that makes sense in what you're asking. I would say uh, go through that list and look for things that are considered recession proof or shutdown proof, right? And then you may still have a drop or a drop off 20, 30%, but 20 to 30% decrease is something that a business owner could, that wouldn't normally talk to you, is now wanting all of a sudden to talk to you, right? And how often does that kind of stuff come up? Not often. Every time we have a recession or something like this, where there's a shutdown, uh, unprecedented, right? But still something that causes the market for them to drop. They're going to need you more than ever. People that may not have needed you last week prior to the shutdown, for example, need you this week in order to keep the lights on in their place, right? That's or keep going in business, and so that's kind of where things are at now, except it's just not as strict. People still very much need you. Business is still off the mark because we just took a hit for the year total, plus the holiday season, and then fear mongering and looming shutdowns again, right? Constantly threatening to shut down the entire system again. So I would say go back through that and review those verticals again as I review them and pick something that's going to make sense for you based off of the current climate, which has not changed that much if you think about it, right? It's like it almost feels like we're just one good COVID outbreak in a city away from another national shutdown. You know what I'm saying? That's what it feels like. I don't think that's going to happen, at least not till after January 20th, at worst case. But it could happen on the 20th. I don't know, man. But again, take that for what it's worth. It's a good question you asked, and I'm glad you watched that because that was a very good in-depth, like hour and a half, where I went through each vertical. It's like 25, 26 that I recommend you start with one. Um, okay. Question from Julian. Uh, William, are you finding that placing the website URL in the call ad helps phone click-through rate? Your original training stated that the website would never be seen. However, in the past few months, Google now allows the ability to display a domain so that people can go to see it. The reasoning may have been that people were clicking on the phone number expecting that a web page would be displayed, and when not seeing it, would not click through to complete the call. Would a mobile only page perform better than a mobile responsive page? Okay, so a couple things. I think you're not understanding a display URL on a call ad. A call ad only goes to the phone. It will not go to a domain. I have suggested in the past to split test, okay, to clarify, uh, using a domain and not using a domain if it was optional, listed as optional. Um, I say it's better to use a domain across the board, but again, it's a display domain. They're not going to see your website. If someone were to see the ad and not click it, open a new browser window, because that's what would be required, type in the domain name that they see on the display field, right, for your ad. Then they could go to your website, right? People don't do that. People just don't do that. By and large, they don't. It's an ad. It's a search result. They click on it, right? That's what they do. That's what search engine advertising is all about. Okay, or search engine marketing is all about. So that's how the display field works. It actually doesn't go to the site. Um, the sometimes the intent and this what you're saying about the reasoning that people were clicking on the phone number expecting a web page would pop up. Yeah, sometimes that is the intent, and that's why we target high buyer intent. In other words, people that are ready to buy or ready to do business right now don't mind that a phone call popped up. If anything, they're thinking, well, that saved me a few fucking steps of having to go find the phone number on somebody's website, right? How convenient if they've never seen a call ad before. But I'll tell you right now, as years go on, and already we're at a point of saturation where, um, and by saturation, I don't mean oversaturated. I mean, we're at a point of saturation market wise that they are starting to understand how call ads function and are appreciating them even more than they do regular clicks, okay? Regular website click ads, okay? Or search ads. Um, Number two, would a mobile only page perform better than a mobile responsive page? Not really, not in my mind. And again, it doesn't matter because nobody's going there for these types of ads. But mobile responsive will do. Mobile responsive will do. No issues there because nobody again is going to see it. For now, is health insurance in our list niches for pay per call? As I have a client that wants $35 per call. I need somebody to help me set up ads for that. Yeah, insurance is a great vertical. Are we talking? Well, you said health insurance. Yeah, health insurance is definitely a vertical that I recommend. This time of year is around open enrollment. I think maybe open enrollment is shorter this year. You'll have to look that up. I haven't looked at it lately, but even outside of open enrollment, people still can qualify to get health insurance and change over their health insurance. And with everything going crazy this year and into next year, don't let next year fool you necessarily. Um, People are going to be moving around, changing jobs a lot. Anytime you move, anytime not you move, anytime you change a job, you are going to be eligible to change your health insurance, right? Um, or create a company, things like that. So a lot of businesses are going to be created. A lot of people are going to be moving to different jobs, and you're going to have health insurance changes, right? So outside of the open enrollment period is my point. So there will be some phone calls for that. I'd say probably an increase in those kinds of phone calls that you can drive throughout next year. But open enrollment's always going to be the best time of year to do that. Uh, and again, it is a recommended vertical because it's kind of like, especially for families, like not having health insurance in the United States is like the perfect way to amass a ton of debt and medical bills uh, without it, right? And if you've got a family, you got to make sure they're covered and everything. And so it's definitely a priority, and it's something that can be done almost all over the phone these days, or through virtual signing of documents, e-signing. In a lot of cases, maybe one visit to the house, but that's usually by a health professional, and they're going to be, masked up, all that kind of stuff, in and out, and very, very low chance of exposure and all that kind of stuff. So that industry is very much considered essential, right? Can't not have health insurance. That's basically how people look at it. So that's a great question. Uh, and as far as you needing help setting up ads for that, um, I mean, I'm not sure what kind of help you need outside of what I train you on already, but if you could be more specific on that, I'd be more than happy to help you. And while you're figuring that out, or if you need to come back tomorrow, I'm here tomorrow at 11 a.m., by the way. Um, if you need to get some questions together on that, come back and I'll help you with that, no problem. But if you have questions right now about the campaign setup that you need answers to, I'm more than happy to help you. Ask away. Uh, Rob is asking or saying, "Hey William, watch the video, the basic ad optimization video. It helped a ton. I'm setting up a company training site while that is running. How would you structure the site? Company training site? I actually have a template for that. I just haven't gotten it out to you guys yet. The company training site, I like to segment it based on position. And there's also going to be a couple other categories like a password slash access page for the tools and software and resources that you use. So, for example, the server login where the scraper is, if you have that as you grow, of course. The login for Vimeo or YouTube, if that's where you're uploading training videos to that go within the company training site. Um, access to for example, Stripe or PayPal under a limited role, right? Because you can limit the access of your staff to your payment processors, right? That would be very helpful, especially if they need to manage the actual funds of someone's account. It might come down to you, but at least they'll be able to see those numbers, produce revenue reports, etc. There's things like that on that kind of a screen. Then there's also um, any kind of any kind of general training. which is going to be very rare, but that because most of that falls under the agency manager tab, if you will. But each position has its own tab, and you just start filling up the daily responsibilities, the weekly, the monthly. So you can have a little subsections of each tab, and then the training how-tos for each task, right, can just be loaded in, and that's it. I mean, it's pretty straightforward structure. It's like, here's all the stuff I'm responsible for doing. Here's all the ways. Here's all the training on how to do it. Here's the numbers I need to hit. So KPIs are in there for each position as well, and um, that's it. I mean, it's not really much more to it than that. You know, the main thing is to get it built and get that skeleton in place so that you can start adding the meat, right? So you can start putting the meat on there. Um, Okay, I'm not seeing anything else currently. I'll wait just a few more, couple more minutes here, make sure everybody's good to go uh, before I bounce out of here. But yeah, if you have questions about ad campaigns and or optimization, things like that, then I would say ask away either today or tomorrow, and or the next day, because I'm here every day, 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time for the entire month, right? That's what they're for. They're here to help you. Yeah, we talked a lot about client acquisition today and mindset. I get that. But that's what somebody needed, right? Actually, a lot of you need that. But that's what one person in particular needed, right? And I didn't just pick him out of a hat or anything. He just chose to come on and ask his questions. So um, ask away, and I'll be able to help. Um, for now, saying I already PM'd you about. I already PM'd you, William, about to help me set up this advertisement. I have not been set up any ad yet. I'm a radiographer here in Auckland, New Zealand, and working mostly theater, ICU, and emergency, taking X-ray during this COVID. So please, I need help now, as this client referred to me by my business partner. Okay. First off, I don't do PMs, right? I don't do private messages. I'm just not a fan. Not even with friends, right? I don't fuck around with that very much at all. If I do, I'm sending a funny video or something. It's not something I use as a primary means of communication. I know that sounds weird, but it's true. Um, and I don't remember seeing that, so it's probably because I have my settings on very tight uh, security settings, especially after recently dealing with a hacked Facebook page. Um, I reviewed the settings and made them even tighter uh, for security reasons. But I don't receive outside messages from people that aren't listed as a friend in Facebook, and I don't have anybody listed as a friend in Facebook that's not an actual friend. I'm not saying you're not a friend. I'm just saying there's a difference between what I would consider a friend and what most people would consider a friend. Most people's friends are acquaintances at best. My friends are friends, like people I'd lay down in traffic for, or um, if I had to, or take a bullet for in a lot of cases. Hopefully, I don't ever have to take a bullet for any of my friends, but I would. Um, so that's why I'm probably not getting those messages. And it's not something I would just directly help you with privately anyway. That's what these calls are for, stuff like this. We also have a call coming up on the 14th where I'll be more than happy to help you with ad setup and all that. But if you're asking me to just do the fucking work for you, I'm not going to do that, period. You need to learn how to do it anyway. So I would say dig into the guides inside of the Ring Ad software, like part one, part two. You'll find some PDF guides. You'll also find them here in the group. The reason why you need to do the work is because you start cutting corners out of the gate, dude. You're going to be hurting the whole way through and struggling the whole way through, and that's not a great way to build a business from a position of strength. You want to build it from that position of strength. Uh, I'm here to help. I'm here to advise, help you tweak, but everything you need and then some is already available for you to use. And your goal is to use that right now so that you can come to me and we can fine tune it, right? That's going to help you a lot more. Now, I understand you're busy. I get it. You got a lot of stuff going on because of COVID. Cool. Sounds like you've got some urgency here too, based on the fact that you're saying you need somebody to help you set, so need versus want, that kind of thing. And then in your second comment here, you're saying I need help now. So that's twice you've asked that or said it that way. And I get the urgency. It's not going to take you that long to build the campaign. And again, I'm here daily at 11 a.m. So if you'd like to set that up, learn it, set it up real quick, you can do that in an afternoon and jump on tomorrow at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. I'm here. I'll be more than happy to review that with you, on a screen share. No problem. But I'm not going to fucking do the work for you, man. Never. Never will I ever do that. Because I'll tell you, that means I would have to be your business partner. And if I'm doing all the work, then I'm going to get all the money. And that would not be a good business partnership for you. So I think it would behoove you to learn what I'm teaching you on the training and also the mindset is how to be a good business owner. Um, Take that to heart, build that out, and come back for more, right? Let me help you out on the screen share and get you all set up. If anybody else wants any kind of help like that with ads in the campaigns, let me know. I'm here. I'm here all month instead of all week. I'm here all month, 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, and then some. Okay, happy to help. Always happy to help. Just not going to do it for you. Never going to do that. I don't see any other questions or comments. I think we're good. If we're not, I'll come back and check later like I always do. But keep working hard, folks. You're doing good. You're making that progress. That's the important thing. It's not about perfection, right? It's about the progress because the progress is the perfection. That's what you gotta remember. Tell that little devil to fuck off while you go prove him wrong, and that'll make a huge difference in your determination and actually making things happen and prove him wrong. Just know that he's going to be there at every turn. That's his job. Can't hate him for doing his job. That's what he's there to do. Your job is there to prove him wrong. That's your job on a daily basis. Okay. And if you need help with that, obviously I'm here to help you with that. But that said, I'm gonna bounce out of here. Andrew, you're most welcome. Always happy to help you, man. Adrian, for some strange reason, my previous question did not post. I'll ask it tomorrow. Yeah, that's weird. I don't see a question from you, Adrian. I would have maybe I missed it. Hold on, I'm scrolling through right now. No, I don't see it. Um, I mean, if you want to ask, unless you want to ask live, I don't have a problem with that. Or if you want to hold it till tomorrow, that's fine by me. You're not going to hurt my feelings none. I just want to make sure that you get your questions so that you can get going. So if it's something that's urgent, then let's go. If it's not urgent and it can wait till tomorrow, okay, I'll see you tomorrow then. Not that I don't want to see you today or anything, but um, don't want you to miss a question. So if you want to ask it, or if you want to ask it and you don't need my answer in a video or live, and it's not a complicated question or a book, right? I call it a book, where the question's like not a comment but a long form post. Um, those take longer to type out the answers to, and I don't deal well with those. I don't say I can't. I don't deal well with those. I do okay. I just don't do the best with those. But I do well with those on video. So totally up to you how you ask, when you ask, but ask away. Don't be shy. You know that. And I'm not sure why that didn't post either. It's really weird. Um, cool. For now, I'd love to. Yeah, good. Get on it, and I'll definitely help you not just tweak it and look at it, but we'll get it running and get it running well for sure. So there's a lot to that. If you've never done it before, there's a little bit of a learning curve, but it's not going to take you weeks or anything. It should take you an afternoon if you go step by step using those guides. It'll be very quick. The rest I can explain to you as we go, right? Given the nature of your urgency there. So, but that is definitely possible. Okay. All right. Cool, guys. Love you. Not urgent. Ask it tomorrow. Cool. All right, Adrian. I will see you all tomorrow at 11 a.m. And until then, keep busting your ass. Prep this weekend for next week, and know that it's going to be a hell of a 10-day stretch really, going into the holiday there, and take advantage of that. Take advantage of that. All right, folks, I'm out. I'll see you guys tomorrow, 11 a.m. Bye for now.
Cool. Cool. UFO. Back on my shit with a new advantage. I leave it up to you to settle the damage. Diamond, yeah, I know it's foreign to him. I came from the guts of rural Alabama. Steph Curry wrist, watch with the handle. Simple motors, gotta lead by example. Not too many make it out when they down. Never been about bailing off of my route. Rain gang, got the city HD. Hate to see my brother die every week. Numb to your vision. My life got me too fucked up. Disrespect to make a nigga go dumb. Pillow talking while you nursing that bitch and turn you to a scrub. I let prices from the plug. Bay Shore, Ocean View, I win Adidas with the boots. Niggas out here slinging arbitrage, so the money really no excuse. Welcome to the realm.